Welcome to the classroom, my brethren. I will be your teacher plus all step 11 as we go through the Manchester Derby, Michael Carrick's first game at the helm. Obviously not on a permanent role, but who knows, bro? This result could, spur some interesting talks in the behind the scenes of Manchester United to give Michael Carrick the first team job because he is looking like a promising candidate right now. I can't lie, even though we shouldn't be reactionary, it is just one game. Who knows? We might return to the same old Manchester United in future games, but man, this is a really big statement to make. For me personally, I had to stay up for this game because, as you can see, Saturday, 17 Jan, 23:30, 11:30 p.m. I was playing some PlayStation before this, just to keep my attention span going so that I could last this game. And unfortunately, that failed because I did fall asleep at my phone in like the 70th minute before I could ever see that Dorgu goal. Obviously, I've watched the highlights towards the latter end of the 20 minutes that I missed, but I was awake, very willing, and aware of what was going on for the first 70 minutes. Well, I say like first 70 minutes, the first half, and then the extra minutes on for the second half. And Manchester United completely dominated Manchester City, no doubt about it. I mean, obviously, Manchester City dictated play as you would expect, but when they were showing the stats on the screen, like 72% possession and stuff like that, I wasn't really buying it because it wasn't feeling like Manchester City were dominating the game at all. Most of their domination would just happen in their own half and like around the halfway line. They did have a stint where they were passing it outside the Manchester United box, and then you had like one instance where Doku got away from Casemiro because Casemiro stumbled a bit, and then he took an extra touch and made the wrong shot. And I'm pretty sure that's when the keeper saved it when it was already going out. I'm pretty sure that was that opportunity. But overall, like the passage of play from Manchester United, from transitioning through the back line through a Martinez Maguire to your sixes, your pivot, your double pivots of Casemiro and Mainu. And then you transition to Fernandez, who has a much freer role, not playing in a two-man midfield, playing in a three-man midfield now because Mainu has actually been released from the shackles. I'm not a Manchester United fan, but like, bro, come on, dude. He is like your spearhead of your academy. Like you've got to play him. Like there is no exception to that. And finally, you have a manager who is willing to do that in Michael Carrick, who can understand that. And Bruno Fernandes has just, proven like why he's one of the best players in the Premier League. And it's crazy to see, his passing was absolutely amazing. I remember one cross from the right hand side to Imbermo and Dorgu, where Dorgu ended up taking a shot because Imbermo left it. Like his technique, like the way it was almost like a chip, bro. It was like a chip, but it was really fast, and he pinged it all the way to the right hand side where I'm pretty sure Dorgan missed or it was a save, one of the two. I don't even know. But that was peak Bruno Fernandes. And then you have the progression of especially Dallo. But admittedly Dallo was a little bit shaky towards the start. I remember like he had a few misplaced passes to Ahmad. Very, very poor in my opinion when you're playing at that level. But we can also talk about how poor Manchester City was, especially their defenders. If we just go straight here, Elaine and Ake at the start were very, very shaky. I don't know if the occasion, the nerves, all of that surrounding them, got to their heads. But you could tell, like one of the first passes, literally, Elaine passed it to Ake, and Ake just miscontrolled simply. Like he just a lack of thought, lack of awareness, and then because that had happened, you had to have like Bernardo Silva going to like a left back position almost to pick up the ball because he can work under pressure way more than like an Ake or Elaine. Then you had Rodri also making some very, very shaky passes as well. I can't lie, but he was doing well. Like it's not the Rodri that we know, the Rodri that won the Ballon d'Or, but I remember like one of the passes to Elaine, which in Burma and someone else was running in, and they were like 2-on-1 against the keeper. But Donnarumma came out quickly because of that Elaine back pass. Was all like the entire situation happened because Rodri did a shit pass to Elaine. I can't lie. So the passing wasn't like as fluid as we'd expect for Manchester City, and I think that has to do with the press of Manchester United and how they were really, getting on the defenders' toes, especially when you look at that Manchester City defense. It's not your strongest defense. It's not your most composed defense. You have a young guy in a lane, a young guy in Kusanov, a young guy in Rico Lewis, and it just it's naturally going to happen that these young players are not going to be sort of having that mentality that they can cope with the pressure, and that's natural, right? And I think Michael Carrick and Manchester United, they completely exploited that. Then you had your forward line of Manchester City, Haaland. Obviously, you're not going to expect him to have touches at all. I don't think he probably touched the ball once or twice in the first half. Doku and Semenyo, you expect Doku especially to do a lot more. Especially when Dallo, that horrible challenge. I don't know how he wasn't sent off. If I'm gonna be real, like in first glance, it didn't look that bad, but then when they showed the replays and his foot, the studs up were high, like near the knee. I thought personally that should be red. I don't know about you guys, but the fact that Dallo and then Luke Shaw as well, because I think Luke Shaw did a late challenge on Rodri. Luke Shaw and Dallo, you have both of the Manchester United fullbacks on yellow cards. Semenyo and Doku should just be exploiting that. That's just a logical thought process. But obviously, because how Manchester City play, it's very slow. It's passing. It's the build up. I don't know. It just didn't really click. But you expected a lot more, especially from Doku, on Diogo Dalot, who isn't really Manchester United's best player. So that is definitely a weak point for them. And Doku didn't really capitalize on that, if I'm going to be honest. But Dalot, in all fairness, he played a really good game. Don't get me wrong. Like he did block Doku. He did help Doku in certain situations, and likewise for sure on Semenyo. So now after this 2-0 result, now you're thinking to yourself, could Michael Carrick really be the next man who can be that permanent role? And it gets you thinking, do Manchester United really need those big name managers like your Eric Ten Hag's, your Ruben Amorims, who are like playing at lower level sides? We're not saying completely lower. Sporting and Ajax are big clubs, but not towards the level of the Premier League, not towards the level of Manchester United, which is one of the biggest clubs in the world. So do you need a man who has played for Manchester United, who can understand the pressure, who can understand the system, who can understand the environment, even though it is, let's be real, a bad environment to be in? Like, who can understand the players, who can understand that, like someone like Mainu, who is a spearheaded figure of the academy, who needs to be involved in this team, and you need to promote your academy and not let these players go. Not we, do Manchester United need that sort of manager? And personally, for me, I think yes, but I don't necessarily think you should fall into the bait of saying like, oh, he won 2-0 against Manchester City. He's undefeated against some of the big sides. Because obviously he did have a interim role in the past, and I'm pretty sure he didn't lose against Chelsea or something. He might have won, he might have drawn. I'm not too sure. Don't quote me on that, but this shouldn't be the time to just say like, Michael Carrick signed the permanent deal. That's it, set in stone. You're the manager of Manchester United permanently. But obviously, we have maybe like 16 games for Manchester United to, figure it out, to see and to get a feel of whether Michael Carrick is the right man for the job. But already you can look at the formation, the way they set up. To be honest, my favorite formation in football is 4-2-3-1. Having that double pivot, having the two sixes is just amazing for me, and then having that creative 10 who can roam around a lot more because of the midfielders behind that 10. That's just like my favorite formation in particular. So obviously I have a little bit of a bias towards that, but I just think this formation is perfect for Manchester United, and the way that they were building up, the way that they were passing, the fluidity of Manchester United. That's probably the best performance that Manchester United fans have ever seen in like 2, 3 years. I can't lie. Like maybe up until like Eric Ten Hag towards his start of the his Manchester United tenure. So I genuinely think that Michael Carrick has a strong shout of being a permanent manager, but obviously we have to see in the future what's to come, and maybe this is just like some lucky moment for Manchester United. It's just a lucky moment, and then there will eventually be a blip. Who knows? It might be in the history of Manchester United. But yeah, it's something to definitely think about. But at the same time, let's be real, towards the start of the game, there was a lot of wasted chances for Manchester United, and that is a big problem for Manchester United for ever since Ruben Amorim has come in. It hasn't been a question of whether or not they've created chances. It's about whether they can capitalize on those chances. You saw in like the second minute or third minute Harry Maguire missing from close range, where he should have converted that header, where he hit the crossbar. Then you see when Manchester City had a slip up and Bruno Fernandes slid in Burma, and literally Kusanov just came back very quickly. Mboma didn't even react. He was complaining about a previous foul. Then obviously you had that Rodri poor pass to Max Lane, and then Max Lane tried to give it back to Donnarumma, and it was sloppy. The whole play was sloppy, and then you had two Manchester United players bearing down on goal, but Donnarumma was apparently faster than them. And can I just say on Donnarumma, this game could have been 6-0. This game could have been 7-0. Donnarumma clutched up. That save on Casemiro, where Casemiro tried to bait him out and try to chip him, that was elite. That's why he's one of the best keepers in the world. He also had a couple of other important saves against Mbeumo, Dorgu, I'm pretty sure. So yeah, for me personally, Donnarumma was the best player for Manchester City. I'd also say Bernardo Silva was, because Bernardo Silva was really instrumental in picking up play from deep and then going forward. He was definitely better than Rodri in that aspect for me personally. And yeah, I just thought that, I thought at the start that Manchester City were doing well to suppress the Manchester United flurry of attacks, even though they look shaky in the back. I thought that eventually Manchester City will break them, and that just wasn't to happen. And then eventually, as time went on, you saw the missed chances from Manchester United. You thought they're coming, they're coming, they're coming. They're eventually going to get a goal. But obviously, that has been the case with Manchester United in the past, where they continually generate chances, but they just don't convert, and then they end up like shooting themselves in the foot, right? But yeah, the fact that the Manchester City wingers, bro, they did not exploit the fullbacks when they won yellow cards. That's just bizarre to me. The fact that they weren't more direct, I don't know whether that was a managerial decision, whether that was a player issue, the mentality issue there, trying to keep it safe, trying to keep it composed. But man, I just thought like once Dallo and Shaw got the yellow cards, I thought that was it. I thought that now Manchester City are going to run right on the wings. Haaland's going to get in the box. There's going to be some like cross the goals. Like cross the cross the goals. There's a whole mouthful. Just like cut in and then a tap in. Pretty much that's what I'm trying to say. So yeah, overall, it's definitely deserved, 100% deserved. Three offside goals as well. You can talk about Ahmed and Fernandez, Ahmed and Bruno. They basically had a carbon copy goal, rounding the keeper, and then Mason Mount, which was apparently an offside on Cunha. I didn't watch that in real time. I watched the highlights on that, but then obviously the Cunha ball to Mount was an offside. So yeah, it was probably Cunha was offside leading up to that. And then obviously you have Ahmad hitting the post towards the end. But man, Manchester United fans, they definitely have something to look forward to here. Definitely some positivity. That is like Manchester United's best performance in the last 2 years, man. Last 2, 3 years. It's insane. It's insane what happened. I completely did not expect that. I don't think a lot of people expected that at all to happen. So yeah, we're just really privileged, and it was a shame that I couldn't finish off the game due to the timing and due to just me falling tired because bro, 1 a.m. it's rough. And I had a rough sleep as well. I woke up a lot later than usual. But anyways, that's just my thoughts. Thank you for joining the classroom. And I really look forward to see how this formation works for Manchester United. I think this can be a really good formation because they definitely do have the players to fulfill this formation. Especially, I'm looking at Mainu. Mainu can be really, really instrumental. Obviously, Bruno is going to be your main man. Don't get me wrong, because he is by far their best player. But Mainu, and then you got your winger Ahmad, bro. Ahmad was really, really good that game. I think Ahmad was definitely the best out of the front three in my opinion. And Bruno definitely I think was the man of the match of that game. It could go to Bruno. It could go to even Casemiro. Casemiro was very instrumental, very strong in his tackles. Martinez was good. He nullified Haaland a lot. So did Maguire. But I think Bruno just by far man of the match for me, in my opinion. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for sitting in the classroom with me. And yeah, we'll just hopefully we can catch more games, probably at better times. But let's just see whatever happens with Manchester United and whatever happens with Michael Carrick. Who knows? He might get the job full time, but let's just not go there too early. So yeah, I'll catch you guys later in another video. Thanks for watching. Peace.